single name once carried more power than a sword in the Scottish Highlands. Before a stranger spoke, before he explained where he came from, his surname could reveal his allies, his enemies, the valleys that would shelter him, and the warriors who might hunt him. In a land divided by fierce loyalty, a family name was never just an identity, it was a declaration. That forgotten reality still echoes today. Millions of people around the world proudly carry Scottish surnames without realizing they may be preserving the memory of clans that shaped battles, crowned kings, defied empires, and survived centuries of conflict. But tracing a surname back to a clan isn't always straightforward. Some names changed over time, others were adopted for protection, and a few became so widespread that their original story nearly disappeared. Yet hidden inside these familiar names are remarkable tales of ambition, betrayal, survival, and honor. Some belonged to rulers, others to rebels. A handful were carried into exile, only to flourish on distant continents. The deeper you look, the more every surname becomes a doorway into Scotland's extraordinary past. Long before Scotland became a unified kingdom, much of the Highlands operated through a clan system unlike anything seen elsewhere in Europe. A clan wasn't simply an extended family. It was a political alliance, a military force, and a community bound by shared leadership. The chief protected the people. In return, loyalty was expected without question. Land was everything. Mountain passes, fertile valleys, and strategic castles determined wealth and influence. Rivalries often lasted generations, fueled by disputes over territory, honor, or old blood feuds that no one could fully remember. Entire communities can be drawn into conflicts because of a single decision made decades earlier. Adding to the complexity, not everyone sharing the same surname was necessarily related by blood. Some became septs, families who pledged themselves to a powerful clan for protection. Others adopted a chief's surname after joining his lands. That's why Scottish genealogy often requires looking beyond the name itself. Even so, certain surnames remain deeply connected to the clans that helped shape Scottish history. Their stories reveal far more than ancestry. They reveal how ordinary families became part of events that transformed an entire nation. One of the best-known examples is the surname Campbell. The name comes from the Gaelic phrase, often translated as crooked mouth, likely describing an early ancestor's distinctive appearance. An unusual nickname eventually became one of Scotland's most influential family names. The Campbells rose from relatively modest beginnings in Argyll to become one of the most politically powerful clans in the Highlands. Unlike many rivals who relied almost entirely on military strength, the Campbells mastered diplomacy. They formed strategic marriages, earned royal favor, and steadily expanded their influence across western Scotland. Their greatest advantage wasn't always winning battles. It was knowing when to support the winning side. That political instinct allowed the clan to acquire vast estates, while others lost everything. Yet their success also earned lasting resentment. Few events damaged their reputation more than the massacre of Glencoe in 1692. Although government orders ultimately drove the tragedy, members of Clan Campbell participated in the attack against their hosts from Clan MacDonald after accepting Highland hospitality, a violation of one of Scotland's strongest traditions. That single event permanently changed how many Scots viewed the Campbell name. Even centuries later, debates over responsibility continue, proving how history can cling to a surname long after the people involved are gone. But the Campbells weren't the only clan whose legacy became legendary. The surname MacDonald traces back to Domhnall, meaning ruler of the world. It belonged to one of Scotland's largest and most formidable clans. The Lords of the Isles, who led much of Clan Donald, ruled an enormous maritime kingdom stretching across the Hebrides and Western Highlands. At times their authority rivaled that of Scotland's own monarchs. Their fleets controlled vital sea routes, their castles guarded strategic islands, their influence reached Ireland as well as mainland Scotland. For generations, the MacDonalds balanced independence with uneasy cooperation, sometimes supporting Scottish kings and sometimes challenging them outright. Their ambitions made them both respected and feared. When the lordship of the Isles eventually collapsed in the late 15th century, royal authority expanded into regions that had long operated almost as independent kingdoms. But the MacDonald identity endured, carried by countless branches scattered across Scotland and beyond. That resilience would become a defining trait of many Highland clans. Another surname deeply rooted in Scottish history is MacLeod. According to tradition, the clan descends from Leod, a Norse Gaelic leader whose ancestry reflects Scotland's remarkable blend of Viking and Celtic cultures. The MacLeods established themselves on the Isle of Skye, where imposing strongholds such as Dunvegan Castle became symbols of their authority. Remarkably, Dunvegan remains associated with Clan MacLeod after more than 7 centuries. Legends surround the family almost as much as historical records. One of their greatest treasures is the fairy flag, an ancient banner believed by folklore to possess miraculous powers during times of crisis. Whether one accepts the legend or not hardly matters. The tale reveals something deeper about Highland culture. History and myth often live side by side, strengthening the identity of entire communities. Still, Scotland's clans were shaped as much by conflict as by folklore. The surname Fraser carries a reputation earned through loyalty, warfare, and endurance. Although historians continue debating the family's earliest origins, the Frasers became one of the dominant clans in the Highlands, particularly around Inverness. Their story reached a dramatic turning point during the Jacobite Rising of 1745. Many Frasers joined Prince Charles Edward Stewart, better known as Bonnie Prince Charlie, in an attempt to restore the Stewart monarchy. Their courage became famous at the Battle of Culloden in 1746, the last major battle fought on British soil. The Jacobite defeat shattered the traditional Highland way of life. Clan lands were confiscated, tartans were restricted, weapons were seized. Ancient customs faced systematic suppression. For many Fraser families, the surname became a reminder not only of noble ancestry, but also of painful sacrifice. Yet some clans built their reputation less through rebellion than relentless determination. The surname Gordon became synonymous with influence across northeastern Scotland. Originally arriving with Norman roots after the 12th century, the Gordons gradually transformed into one of the kingdom's most powerful noble families. They expanded through military service, royal appointments, and carefully managed estates. Their castles dominated the landscape, while generations of Gordons played key roles in national politics. What makes the Gordon story especially fascinating is how a family of foreign origin became thoroughly Scottish over time. Their transformation mirrors Scotland itself, a nation shaped by Celts, Vikings, Normans, and countless cultural influences blending into a unique identity. Not every famous clan originated from the Highlands alone. The surname Douglas became legendary throughout all of Scotland. Unlike many Gaelic clans, the Douglases emerged primarily in the Lowlands. Their influence extended directly into royal politics, making them indispensable allies and dangerous rivals to Scottish kings. Sir James Douglas earned immortal fame fighting beside King Robert the Bruce during Scotland's Wars of Independence. After Bruce died, Douglas carried his king's heart toward the Holy Land, fulfilling his final wish before dying in battle himself. Whether every detail of that journey unfolded exactly as later storytellers described remains debated. But the legend became inseparable from the Douglas name, turning history into national memory. Some surnames, however, reveal a more complicated path. The name Stewart, later spelled Stewart in some royal branches, began as a job title rather than a family name. It referred to the High Steward of Scotland, an official responsible for managing the royal household. Over generations, that office became hereditary. Eventually, Walter Stewart's descendants married into the royal family, creating the Stewart dynasty that ruled Scotland and later England. Few surnames demonstrate social mobility on such a remarkable scale. A position within the royal court evolved into a royal bloodline that influenced British history for centuries. Their reign witnessed triumphs, civil wars, religious conflict, and political union, leaving an impact far beyond Scotland's borders. Yet even royal families could not escape the turbulent forces reshaping the Highlands. The surname MacKenzie tells another remarkable story of ambition. Based primarily around Rossshire, Clan MacKenzie steadily expanded its territory through alliances, military strength, and political skill. By the 17th century, they controlled extensive lands throughout northern Scotland. Unlike some clans remembered for one defining battle, the MacKenzies excelled at adapting to changing political realities. As royal authority strengthened, they adjusted rather than resisted outright, allowing their influence to continue while others declined. That flexibility became one of the greatest survival strategies in Scottish history. Still, no clan symbolized fierce independence quite like the MacGregors. The surname MacGregor traces its ancestry, according to tradition, to Gregory, and the clan proudly claimed descent from ancient Scottish royalty. Whether those royal connections were entirely accurate mattered less than what happened next. Following repeated conflicts with neighboring clans and the Scottish government, the MacGregor name itself was outlawed in the early 17th century. Simply carrying the surname became a crime. Families were forced to adopt entirely different names to survive. Some became Murray, others used Drummond or Campbell. Many concealed their true ancestry for generations. It's difficult to imagine a government banning a family name today, yet in Scotland, this extraordinary punishment actually happened. When the prohibition was finally lifted generations later, descendants proudly reclaimed the MacGregor name, turning it into one of resilience rather than defeat. Another surname recognized across the world is MacKenzie's longtime rival, MacLean. The MacLeans established themselves on the Isle of Mull, controlling important coastal territories that connected the Western Highlands with surrounding islands. They earned a reputation for exceptional warriors and skilled seafarers. Centuries of rivalry with neighboring clans, particularly the Campbells, repeatedly reshaped their fortunes. Victories were followed by devastating defeats. Castles changed hands, chiefs rose and fell. Yet the clans survived political upheaval that erased many others. Today, descendants of Clan MacLean can be found across North America, Australia, New Zealand, and countless other countries, carrying a name rooted in one small corner of Scotland. Perhaps that's the greatest surprise of all. The story of Scottish surnames isn't confined to Scotland anymore. Beginning with the Highland clearances in the 18th and 19th centuries, thousands of families were forced from ancestral lands as traditional communities gave way to commercial agriculture. Entire villages disappeared. Families boarded ships bound for Canada, the United States, Australia, New Zealand, and elsewhere. Many carried little more than memories and their surnames. Those names became living connections to places they might never see again. Generations later, Descendants often discover their Scottish heritage through genealogy, DNA testing, or family stories passed down across oceans. Sometimes the connection is direct. Sometimes it reflects a sept relationship rather than shared blood. Occasionally the trail leads somewhere completely unexpected. That's what makes Scottish ancestry so captivating. Every answer tends to uncover another mystery. Even historians continue revising what they know as new records emerge and genetic research expands our understanding of medieval families. A surname can suggest where your ancestors once stood, which chief they followed, and which valleys they called home, but it rarely tells the entire story. Instead, it offers the first clue. The true journey lies in the records, the castles, the forgotten churchyards, and the stories preserved by generations who refused to let their past disappear. Centuries ago, a Scottish surname could determine your future before you spoke a single word. Today, that same name has a different kind of power. It invites millions of people to rediscover a history written not only in books, but in bloodlines, landscapes, and memories that survived against extraordinary odds. If your family name has a story waiting to be uncovered, subscribe for more forgotten history.